Hey, this is Zara at ReviewZoneHD, and I'm bringing you a review for another big budget title with Skylanders SWAT Force on the PlayStation 3. I've spent all week playing various different modes found in this game, and after not playing any of the previous Skylander titles and being brand new to this series, I can firmly say this was not at all what I was expecting the game was going to be, and that's a very good thing. I had envisioned a more tamer Lego style collection game, and what I ended up getting was a high-flying action game that has strong role-playing game elements, fun mini-games, great two-player co-op, and a very intense player versus player mode that left me overly impressed with everything that this one has to offer. To start with, a lot of the character moves and special abilities feel like they were ripped straight out of a dungeon crawler style role-playing game. Further expanding on this RPG style element is the fact that every character can level up, unlock new, more powerful versions of their attacks, and equip 147 different hats that grant stat bonuses. That gives a very solid foundation for an action RPG. The hats are unlocked by either purchasing them at the town shop or by finding them scattered throughout the stages after completing mini-games. Loot collecting and general exploration also play a big role in your journey throughout the game's many chapters. One of the more prominent things that I noticed while playing my first few days was that the game ran without any major issues, and for a game this large, that's an achievement in its own right. The only technical problem that I noticed was that the game would occasionally pause for a split second during some of the character introduction sequences as it was loading, but the frame rate stayed smooth while playing even during some of the more chaotic moments, and all the extra minigames and side quests worked as expected. For those that have played any of the previous Skylander games, they did add the ability to jump in this one, which for a platforming style game of this type is something that you would just kind of expect, and it makes me wonder why it wasn't in the last Skylander games, but now that it's been included, I would imagine it would be extra hard to backtrack and play through one of the earlier titles. Now, for those looking to play with a friend, you'll be glad to know that everything is evenly distributed and equally divided for local co-op play, and this game packs a punch for those wanting to play with a buddy. Battle arenas, survival modes, and playing through the main game is all available for those that want a little two-player action. And all of your character progress and equipment is very conveniently stored on the character figurine. While the story elements, cutscenes, and script feel like they were catered to the younger crowd, the overall game is going to appeal to all ages. At times, the enemy encounters can be challenging when playing on hard difficulty, as it tosses a variety of different enemy types at you a lot of the time, with some of those combinations being not only pretty lethal, but also causing some very hectic battle moments. The boss battles fall back on learning patterns, but can also prove to be challenging even for a seasoned veteran of these types of games. The biggest downside into investing into this title, it's not going to be all the hours that you're going to lose enjoying playing through this game, but it's going to be the hit that it's going to bring to your wallet. SWAT Force introduces 16 new swappable characters, which have interchangeable tops and bottoms, and as you're playing along, it will constantly remind you of which ones you may be missing, with locked doors and snazzy commercial-like intros that play out to showcase a special move that you may have just unlocked for a character that you don't own. If you're a parent buying this game for a kid, expect to be hounded every trip that you make up to the store, as they are going to want more of these characters, especially with the wide variety found between each figure. If you're lucky enough to have already amassed a collection of characters from Spyro's Adventure and Giants, which includes over 100 available figures, you'll be relieved to know that they will work with SWAT Force, and it will carry over every character's level and abilities when transferred from the previous games to this one. I tested out over 30 characters, including all of the new SWAT Force characters that I could get my hands on, and I was very surprised that each one was extremely well balanced, fun to use, and different enough that you're going to want to play on each one. They all have very different types of attacks and abilities, and usually when there's that much variety with a game with its characters, it can cause some of them to be clearly overpowered or underpowered, but the developers spent a lot of time tweaking and polishing every single one of them to make sure the game is as balanced as possible. The great part about the interchangeable characters is that you can mix and match them to fit your preferred playstyle, ranging from creating a slower, up-close brawler to a speedy ranged magician. The options for switching it up is what will set this game apart from not only the previous Skylander titles that came before it, but also from other similar platforming action games. In my opinion, the funnest aspect of this game is going to be its player versus player arena mode, and I will put a link in the description for those wanting to check out the live commentary tournament that we did over the weekend. We pitted 32 of the characters against one another, and we were constantly surprised at which one of the characters were winning the matches, with a complete shocker as to which one won the entire tournament. While it may burn a hole in your wallet buying new characters, the gameplay sort of speaks for itself. They don't feel like reskin clones of one another, and it really changes and shapes the gameplay every time you switch a character out. Now, if I had to give a recommendation for those trying to decide between Skylanders SWAT Force and Disney Infinity this holiday season, I'd recommend Infinity for those wanting to build and create their own environments with the custom toy boxes, which is awesome for doing any type of racing that's found in that game, but I would recommend Skylanders SWAT Force for those looking for a more action-packed, faster-paced platforming style experience. The RPG elements really push this one ahead in that category, and SWAT Force is all around more exciting and offers a lot more variety between the characters, while Infinity leans heavily on appealing to fans of Disney movies and Disney characters. Both titles are going to be in my top 10 favorite games of this year, as I can see myself playing these long after the reviews are finished. If you are going to purchase this title, I would recommend shelling out the extra bit of cash for one character from every element if you don't already own some from previous games. Otherwise, you're going to be really limiting yourself to what you're going to experience as you're playing through the main story, or even testing out some of the other modes. If you don't have a character for each element, you're going to run across several locked doors on every stage, and that can really dampen the experience as you're constantly reminded of which characters that you're missing. So that's very important to keep in mind before picking this one up. As expensive as it is, if you can afford it, I would definitely recommend it for a purchase. It's a great family game. It's a great game to buy for the younger crowd to play with their friends, and even as a 32-year-old adult, I had a lot of fun playing it myself. This is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and as always, thanks for stopping by.